surgery, but he said last week that he could, quote, play in a game right now. Our own Bucky Brooks made an even bolder claim for Dak on yesterday's show. Y'all take a listen to this.
I'm going with the MVP, Dak Prescott, being on the big stage against the New York Giants. That's the way they want to do it. Dak Prescott, he's debut MVP season. We got to see that on TV.
Bucky, that sounded just as crazy today as it did yesterday. Now, here is why Dak Prescott can't win the MVP for the Cowboys. Here's why Dak Prescott won't win the MVP for the Cowboys. And it's real simple. Dak Prescott's statistics and the Cowboys winning have an inverse relationship. For those that don't know what an inverse relationship means, the greater one does, the worse the other does. Remember, Dak Prescott's rookie year, 23 passing touchdowns. Cowboys were 13-3. Dak Prescott's fourth year, prior to him getting injured this year, 30 passing touchdowns. But the Cowboys were 8-8. You see, the problem is the more Dak Prescott balls, the worse the Cowboys collectively as a team do. Now, common knowledge, easy common sense simply says the more Dak Prescott has to do, typically the worse the Cowboys are doing. The only problem, last year's reigning MVP, Aaron Rodgers, the Packers go as he goes. You see, Aaron Rodgers threw 48 touchdowns in a season. Oh, last season, Packers were 13-3. Aaron Rodgers threw 45 passing touchdowns in a season, and the Packers were 14-1. But when Aaron Rodgers threw 25 passing touchdowns, the Packers were just 6-9-1. There's a direct correlation between how great Aaron Rodgers is and how great the Packers are. Conversely, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, the better he does, the worse they do. I bring all of this to close by simply saying the worst winning percentage of a quarterback to win an MVP, 68%, meaning 11-5 back when the NFL schedule was 16 games. With that being said, the Cowboys would have to go 12-5 at worst for Dak Prescott to even have a shot to win the MVP. At least based on history. Now, I told y'all I think is crazy. Bucky, you obviously don't. So you tell me, Bucky Brooks, you still believe Dak Prescott going to win an MVP this season?
Oh, absolutely. I am 100% confident. In fact, I would take your check down to Vegas and I would put it on the sportsbook and say that Dak Prescott is going to do it. I'm going to take those odds. And this is why. Because I love it so much. Last year, Dak Prescott, 371 passing yards per game. We talk about leading the league in that. Not only that, statistically, it's been a 6,000-yard season for Dak Prescott to finish that out. And he did it with a defense that was leaking oil badly. He did it with a first-year head coach in terms of his first year in Dallas and Mike McCarthy. And he did it with Zeke Elliott being out of shape, overweight, not playing well. He did it without his offensive line. So now let's just think about everything that comes back. You've been on social media. I know, Acho. You've seen Zeke Elliott working out, looking like he's fit and trim, ready to come back and be the guy that we're accustomed to seeing. We also know that Tyron Smith and Leo Collins will come back. We have also seen what happens typically at Mike McCarthy's second year, because in Green Bay, they started out 8-8 his first year, 13-3 the next year. And we have to follow the money, because now that they've dropped $40 million per year in Dak Prescott's bank account, they want him to go from being the game manager that you constantly allude to being the playmaker, which is proven that he can be. Absolutely, with the Dallas Cowboys being in primetime, America's team, as they win this division, going to the playoffs, and he puts up big numbers, man, put his name on the trophy. Dak Prescott is certainly in the conversation to win it, and he will win it when the season is over.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Bucky. You are tripping. So I hear all your statistics, and I'm with that. Dak Prescott is a phenomenal Dallas Cowboy. He's the number one in completion percentage, number one in wins, number one in passing yards, number one in passing touchdowns, number one in passer rating through his first 5 seasons as a Dallas Cowboy. And yes, Dak Prescott will likely go into the Ring of Honor as a Dallas Cowboy. But we're talking MVP, most valuable player, not as a Dallas Cowboy. We're talking in the NFL. And so just hear me out. So all your points are great. I love it. You sound really, really good. And talk about taking checks to Vegas, right? I hope you don't bet because you're probably going to lose. But here's the deal. So let's look at the last 4 MVPs. The last 4 most valuable players. Aaron Rodgers, we all alluded to him, right? He's still around. He's still playing really, really well. Let's go back to, let's go to Lamar Jackson, unanimous MVP. He's still around. His team hasn't gotten worse. Oh, let's go to Patrick Mahomes, who's still there, still playing at a $450 million level at 100%. And oh, by the way, in case we all forgot about the man who's won 6 rings, now on a new team, Tom Brady. These last 4 MVPs, they're still there, and they're still getting better. They haven't gotten worse. They haven't retired. No one's been traded. So yes, Dak Prescott is a phenomenal player, and he's a great Dallas Cowboy, but he's not going to be the MVP of the NFL. Not happening.
I'm with him, Bucky Brooks. And the fact is, yes, Dak Prescott may ball. I assume Dak Prescott will ball. Has the most talented group of offensive skill positions in the NFL, in my humble, defensive-minded opinion. But, Bucky, I'm just interested in what you have to retort to this. When Dak Prescott throws for over 325 yards, Cowboys are 6-6. When Dak Prescott throws for under 250 yards, Cowboys are 24-15. They're 500 when he throws for over 325 yards. They win 62% of the time when he throws for under 250 yards. Now, we understand the common sense is when the Cowboys are winning, you run the ball, Dak Prescott throws the ball less, therefore he doesn't have as many passing yards. But, Bucky, that's going to be the issue with Dak winning MVP. The only reason they will be lighting it up like that is if they're losing. And if you're losing, you can't win MVP. Think about it like this, Bucky Brooks, before I let you take the baton and you call for stick. Think about it like this. Russell Westbrook, who we will talk about later because he don't get enough respect, he's averaging 22, 11, and 11. And he's not even in an MVP conversation. Not because Russell Westbrook ain't balling, because the Wizards ain't balling. If Giannis had those numbers, 22, 11, and 11, unanimous MVP, all votes, his. But the fact of the matter is, you can't win an MVP if your team is not MVP good. And the Cowboys just haven't shown us that they are going to be 13-4, 14-3, 12-5. They just ain't shown us that in recent history, Bucky Brooks.
Okay, good thing we're not using recent history to vote for the MVP this year because it's a single and solitary yearly award. And so because the first thing you have to do to qualify to get in your division. So when I look at Dak Prescott and his ownership of the New York Giants and others within that division, I'm pretty confident that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. When we think about that, he's clearly the best quarterback in the division. The team, I think we can argue, is clearly the best team in the division. So that puts him in the conversation. And then it's funny because you brought up Aaron Rodgers and the correlation when you talk about the inverse relationship. The better he plays, the better the Packer plays and all that. But it's funny, you didn't mention that the Green Bay Packers were 13-3 their previous year when Aaron Rodgers only had 26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And so their success isn't solely dependent upon number 12. It is a part of the equation. So if we think about the MVP and not the Offensive Player of the Year, because the Offensive Player of the Year is strictly on the individual statistics. The MVP is most valuable, meaning the best player on the team that wins the most. That is the one that typically garners the award. So when I think about the Cowboys and the success, I think it's really simple because we've heard coaches talk about this all the time. You throw to score, you run to win. And so what I expect from the Cowboys is I expect Dak Prescott to throw early and often for them to get the lead. Ezekiel Elliott runs it out to sort away the lead, and that's how they win. But the credit always goes back to the quarterback because when we look at the MVP award, it's been a long time since we've seen a running back be the MVP. I'm confident because of the team success that Dak Prescott is going to be the one that hoists the MVP award.
Bucky, you must have grown up in Dallas, or man, we grew up in Dallas. We seen the Cowboys fans with the glasses with the stars on them, like looking through those star-colored lenses. Bucky, you sound a lot like Jerry Jones.
He does.
You sound a lot like Jerry Jones.
Less wealthy.
Just a lot less wealthy. They got $5.8 billion in that account. You sound a lot like Jerry Jones. I was with Jerry Jones not too long ago, negotiating CBAs and whatnot, and having conversations. And you listen to this man talk. He wears those star-colored glasses. He's sitting there. We got Dak. We got Zeke. We got CD. We got our O-line. We got Amari. We're going all the way. Bucky, you don't believe that.
He doesn't.
I know you don't believe that.
No way. Bucky, I'm going to end it. I'm going to end this conversation very simply. I just told you the MVPs at quarterbacks to win with the worst record historically. 2016, Matt Ryan. They went 11-5. Prior to that, 2002, Rich Gannon, they went 11-5. Where'd Matt Ryan end up his MVP year? Oh, in the Super Bowl. Hey, where did Rich Gannon end up in 2002, his MVP? Oh, in the Super Bowl. So, essentially, if Dak Prescott does win the MVP with a 12-5 record, history over the last 2 decades says he got to take him to a Super Bowl. I don't even see that happening with star-colored and tinted lenses, so I don't have a clue how you do.
Well, then print the shirts. Then if you're saying that he got to win the MVP and go to the Super Bowl, then print the shirt in Dallas in the team store. Get them ready. Hoist up the little T-shirts because the Cowboys must be going because Dak is winning the MVP. Keep this in the book so we can talk about it.
Remind me never to go to the casinos with you because I'll lose money. But if y'all want to win money, Terry Bradshaw's money, well, Terry Bradshaw on Fox Super